The silver spacecraft hung silently above Earth's atmosphere, its observation windows filled with the blue-green planet below. Inside, lead researcher X-23 flicked through holographic readings with growing confidence. Another peaceful world to add to the Galactic Council's ever-expanding family of civilizations. Life signs are within expected parameters, reported his assistant, B-17. Atmospheric composition suitable for most carbon-based life. Temperature variations mild compared to Class 8 worlds and above. X-23's outer membrane rippled with satisfaction. After 3 centuries of searching for new civilizations, he had become quite good at initial assessments. This Earth showed all the signs of a standard moderate world. The readings taken during daylight hours revealed organized cities, controlled industry, and a species that had achieved basic space travel. "Begin the contact protocol," he ordered. The first meeting took place in a large open field outside what humans call the United Nations. Tom Walker, Earth's appointed diplomatic representative, stood calmly as the alien ship descended. Behind him, a small team of human officials watched with obvious interest, but surprising composure. What struck X-23 immediately was how ordinary the humans appeared. 2 arms, 2 legs, bilateral symmetry, all very standard. Yes, they were endoskeletal rather than the more common exoskeletal design, but nothing suggested they had evolved in particularly harsh conditions. "Welcome to Earth," Tom said, showing no sign of fear at meeting an alien species for the first time. "We're honored to host representatives of the Galactic Council." The following hours were filled with preliminary discussions. The humans were remarkably quick to grasp complex concepts about galactic society. They asked intelligent questions about trade, technology sharing, and cultural exchange. X-23 noticed they seemed particularly interested in faster-than-light travel. "Your species shows remarkable potential," X-23 told Tom as they walked through a nearby garden. "Your technological development is proceeding at a steady pace, and your social structures appear stable." Tom smiled. "We try our best, though we still have our problems to work out." B-17 was busy taking atmospheric readings. "Oxygen levels are higher than most inhabited worlds," she noted, "but within acceptable ranges. The gravity is a bit strong," another alien researcher commented, "but nothing extreme." As they toured a nearby city, X-23 did notice a few odd things. The humans' buildings were remarkably sturdy, over-engineered by galactic standards. Their vehicles, too, seemed designed to withstand far more punishment than necessary. Even their clothing appeared surprisingly durable. "Tell me," X-23 asked Tom, "why do you build everything so robust?" Tom shrugged. "Better safe than sorry, right? We like things that last." The casual response satisfied X-23 at the time. He didn't notice the knowing looks exchanged between the human officials. By late afternoon, the initial assessment was complete. Earth would be classified as a Class 3 world, suitable for immediate integration into the galactic community. Observation posts would be established in orbit to study human culture and help guide their transition into wider galactic society. "We'll begin cultural exchange programs immediately," X-23 announced proudly. "Your species shows all the signs of being a valuable addition to the Council." "That's wonderful news," Tom replied with that same calm smile, "though you might want to wait a few more hours before finalizing that assessment." X-23's translator must have glitched, because surely he hadn't detected a note of amusement in Tom's voice. The human team seemed perfectly ordinary, if perhaps a bit more durable than most species. Nothing in their behavior suggested anything unusual. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, X-23 and his team prepared to return to their ship for the night cycle. They would continue observations tomorrow when the sun returned. "You're not staying to observe the night cycle?" Tom asked, that strange smile still on his face. "Most species rest during their world's dark period," B-17 explained. "We assumed." "Oh," Tom said, "but that's when things get interesting." The sun dipped lower, and in the growing shadows, X-23 saw something change in the human's eyes, a subtle shift that made his survival instincts scream in warning for the first time since landing. He was about to discover just how wrong his initial assessment had been. The sunset painted Earth's sky in shades of orange and red as X-23 and his team watched from their observation post. Against his better judgment, they had stayed to observe the night cycle, curious about Tom's cryptic comment. Energy readings are increasing, B-17 reported, tapping her sensor screen in confusion. That can't be right. But it was. As darkness spread across the city, thousands of artificial lights blazed to life. Streets, buildings, and vehicles lit up in a dazzling display that nearly matched the daylight they were leaving behind. Most species create small light sources for essential night activities, X-23 noted, trying to maintain his scientific composure. But this is different. Through their high-powered observation equipment, they watched in growing disbelief as human activity didn't slow down. It accelerated. Streets filled with more vehicles than during daylight. Restaurants and gathering places grew crowded. Humans walked the streets with casual confidence, their eyes adapting to the darkness with disturbing speed. Switch to biological scanners, X-23 ordered, his membrane rippling with increasing concern. The readings made him freeze. The human's pupils were expanding in the darkness, their enhanced night vision activating automatically. Their body temperatures remained stable despite the falling environmental temperature. Most shocking of all, their brain activity showed no signs of the normal evening slowdown seen in most species. Impossible, B-17 whispered. They're fully active predators in darkness. A ground team reported from near a large building called a gym. Inside, humans were engaging in combat sports, their movements just as quick and precise as during daylight. Through the windows, they could see humans lifting weights that would challenge species from much higher gravity worlds. "Sir," one of the researchers called out, "you need to see this." The screen showed human industrial complexes running at full capacity. Factories, power plants, transportation systems, all operating with full crews. Humans were working in shifts, seamlessly transitioning between day and night teams. Their productivity never stops, B-17 realized. They've adapted their entire civilization to function around the clock. As if to emphasize this point, they observed a group of young humans entering what their database identified as a nightclub. The aliens watched in horror as humans deliberately exposed themselves to loud sounds and intense artificial lights, dancing and socializing, as if the night was made for celebration. Check the historical records, X-23 ordered, his scientific curiosity warring with growing alarm. The data painted a terrifying picture. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters, capable of pursuing prey in both day and night. Their ancestors had developed such advanced night vision that they could track by starlight alone. Modern humans had only enhanced these capabilities with technology. A message from another observation post brought even more disturbing news. They had detected humans running in complete darkness for something called night training. Military exercises were being conducted without any light sources at all. "Sir," B-17's voice shook slightly. "I'm detecting similar activity patterns across all human settlements. This isn't isolated behavior. It's species-wide." X-23 watched as a human child walked confidently through a darkened park, eyes reflecting the faint starlight like a nocturnal predator. The child's parent showed no concern, as if moving through darkness was the most natural thing in the world. "Their cities never sleep," another researcher reported. "They've created an entire civilization that ignores the basic day-night cycle of their world." The implications were staggering. Every other known species needed significant rest during their dark cycle. Even the most dangerous predator worlds had clear periods of activity and rest. But humans had conquered the night itself. "Update the preliminary report," X-23 ordered, his professional calm cracking. "Earth requires immediate reclassification." As if to punctuate his words, they watched a group of humans emerge from a building marked 24/7's gym, laughing and discussing their workout as if exercising in total darkness was perfectly normal. The night was young, and X-23 had a sinking feeling they had only begun to discover the terrifying adaptations that made humans so uniquely dangerous. As he watched the bustling nighttime city below, one thought kept repeating in his mind. What kind of world would produce a species that feared neither day nor darkness? As midnight approached, X-23's research team was in complete disarray. Their observation posts around Earth continued sending increasingly disturbing reports about human nocturnal activities. "You need to see this footage from their military bases," B-17 said, her voice trembling as she displayed the video feed. The images showed human soldiers moving through pitch-black forests. They carried devices that enhanced their already impressive night vision, making them nearly invisible in the darkness. Their movements were silent, coordinated, and terrifyingly efficient. "How are they doing this?" asked one of the junior researchers. "Even apex predators from Class 10 worlds need some light to hunt." X-23 studied the readings carefully. Their eyes, they're using something called rod cells that work in extremely low light. And these technological enhancements they've created, they're not just copying night vision, they're improving it. Another alert caught their attention, this time from an observation post above a major city's port. The massive cargo ships were being loaded and unloaded throughout the night, massive cranes moving with precision in the darkness. Workers moved across the decks as confidently as they did during daylight. "Sir," called out another researcher, "you should check the data from their entertainment sectors." The screens showed humans gathered in dark rooms they called movie theaters, staring at bright screens without any sign of discomfort. In other areas, humans were playing sports under artificial lights, their reactions just as quick as during the day. Their adaptation to darkness goes beyond just survival, B-17 noted. They've turned it into recreation. A particularly disturbing report came from a research facility they were monitoring. Human scientists were working through the night, hunched over computers and laboratory equipment. They showed no signs of fatigue or decreased cognitive function despite the late hour. "Look at this," X-23 pointed to a data stream. "Their bodies produce something called adrenaline that can temporarily override their need for sleep. They can stay alert for days if necessary." The team watched as a group of young humans left a building labeled University Library. They carried devices called laptops and cups of a stimulant drink called coffee. "They're not just working through the night," B-17 realized with horror. "They're studying, learning. Their brains are fully active even after sunset." X-23 accessed the human information network they called the Internet. What he found made his outer membrane pale. Humans had entire industries dedicated to night work. Emergency services, security forces, medical facilities, all fully staffed and operational 24 hours a day. Here's something even more frightening. One researcher reported, they have underwater vehicles, submarines, that operate in the darkest depths of their oceans. The crews live without seeing natural light for months. The implications were becoming clear. Humans hadn't just adapted to survive in darkness, they had mastered it. Their cities glowed like beacons in the night, not out of fear, but as a show of dominance over the darkness. "Check their entertainment content," X-23 ordered, trying to understand how humans viewed darkness. The results were shocking. Humans created stories about creatures of the night, but instead of showing natural fear, they often portrayed themselves as being more dangerous than any nocturnal predator. Their fiction was filled with humans hunting monsters in the darkness. "Sir," B-17 called out urgently, "I found their historical records. Early humans didn't just hunt during the day. They used the darkness for stealth. They would follow prey for days, hunting even at night, until the target collapsed from exhaustion." A new alert came in, this time from a night race event. Humans were voluntarily running through dark trails in the wilderness, wearing only small lights on their heads, treating it as a recreational activity. What kind of species? X-23 wondered aloud. turns survival traits into sports? The answer was becoming terrifyingly clear. Only a species that had evolved on a world so dangerous that mastering both day and night was necessary for survival. Only a species that had faced challenges so severe that they emerged as dual cycle predators. As the night deepened, X-23 realized this was just the beginning. There were still hours of darkness ahead, and each passing moment revealed new aspects of humanity's terrifying capabilities. "Update the Council immediately," he ordered. "Earth isn't just a death world. It's something entirely new." The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was called at Earth's midnight. The massive circular chamber, usually calm and orderly, buzzed with nervous energy as X-23's reports were displayed on the giant screens. "This data must be wrong," declared High Counselor Ver 8, his crystalline form vibrating with distress. "No species can maintain such high activity levels in both day and night cycles." "The data is correct," X-23 insisted, displaying more footage. "And it gets worse. Humans don't just function in darkness. They thrive in it." The council chamber erupted in concerned whispers as new images appeared. Security cameras showed humans in something called a warehouse, operating heavy machinery in minimal light. Another screen displayed humans deep underground in mines, working with only helmet-mounted lights to guide them. "Look at their eyes," B-17 pointed out, zooming in on a human face. "Their pupils can change size almost instantly to adjust to light levels. They can go from bright sunlight to near darkness in seconds." The Council's chief biologist, Dr. P-47, stepped forward. "I've analyzed their physical adaptations. Their eyes have multiple features we've never seen combined in a single species before. High-resolution color vision for daylight, extreme light sensitivity for darkness, and rapid adjustment between the two." "But surely they must rest during one cycle or the other?" asked a council member. "No," X-23 replied grimly. "They've evolved to rest in short bursts they call sleep, which they can take during any part of their day-night cycle. Some humans regularly switch between day and night activity periods they call shifts." The screen showed time-lapse footage of a human city over 24 hours. The council watched in horror as the city never truly slept. It just changed its patterns. As day workers returned home, night workers emerged. Restaurants, entertainment venues, and businesses operated continuously. "Their military implications are concerning," reported General K-92 of the Defense Council. "Most species rely on darkness for defense or rest. Humans use it as a weapon." The footage shifted to nighttime military exercises. Soldiers moving silently through pitch-black forests, their enhanced vision devices making darkness irrelevant. Ships navigating without lights, submarines hiding in the ocean's darkest depths. "Their space program is even more troubling," B-17 added. "They're planning missions to the dark sides of planets. Their astronauts train in darkness. They're preparing to take their night adaptation to the stars." A junior council member raised an appendage. "Could this be a recent development? Perhaps their technology allows this behavior." Dr. P-47 shook his head. "No, we've studied their evolutionary history. Their ancestors were pursuit predators who hunted during both day and night. They would follow prey until it collapsed from exhaustion, regardless of the light conditions. Their technology just enhances abilities they already had." The screens showed more evidence. Humans camping in dark woods for recreation, exploring lightless caves for fun, and holding sporting events at night. They had music festivals that started at sunset and continued until dawn. "Even their young show these adaptations," X-23 continued. "Their children often resist sleeping at night. They have parties called sleepovers where they deliberately stay awake in darkness. Most disturbing," B-17 added, "is their cultural relationship with darkness. Instead of fearing it, they romanticize it. They write stories about it, create art about it, and deliberately seek it out for entertainment." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth wasn't just another world to add to the galactic community. It was something unprecedented, a planet that had produced a species equally dominant in light and darkness. "We must reclassify Earth immediately," High Counselor Ver 8 declared. "This is beyond our normal parameters for Deathworld classification." "There's one more thing," Ax 23 said quietly. "We've detected signs that humans are testing ways to enhance their vision further. They're not content with just mastering natural darkness. They want to see better, move faster, and go deeper into the dark than ever before." The council members looked at each other nervously. They had discovered many species over the centuries, but humans were different. They hadn't just survived their world's dark cycle, they had conquered it so completely that they now used it for recreation. "Update all contact protocols," Ver 8 ordered. "Earth isn't just a death world. It's the first world we found where darkness doesn't provide safety. It just gives humans another environment to master." At 2 a.m. Earth time, the Galactic Council's research team discovered something even more disturbing. Humans had created an entire culture around their night activities. "You won't believe this," B-17 said, displaying new data streams. "They have something called nightlife. It's not just about survival or work. They celebrate the darkness." Ax 23 and his team watched in amazement as humans flocked to brightly lit entertainment districts. Music pounded from buildings called clubs, where humans deliberately gathered in dark rooms lit only by flashing lights. "Look at their vital signs," a medical researcher noted. "Their energy levels actually increase during these activities. They're not fighting their night cycle. They're enjoying it." The screen showed different scenes from around the world. In one city, humans sat in outdoor cafes well past midnight, talking and laughing. In another, crowds filled streets for something called a night market, the air filled with the smell of food and the sound of commerce. "Their entertainment sectors are fascinating," reported another researcher. "They have businesses called bars and pubs that primarily operate at night. Humans gather there to socialize when most species would be deep in sleep cycle." But it wasn't just entertainment. The research team discovered entire industries built around the night hours. "Their medical facilities never close," B-17 reported. "They have special doctors called night shift physicians who are trained to work in darkness. Their emergency services run at full capacity 24 hours a day." They observed hospitals where complex surgeries were performed at 3 a.m. with the same precision as daylight operations. Emergency vehicles raced through darkened streets, their crews fully alert and functional. "Sir," called out a junior researcher, "you need to see their educational practices." The screen showed university libraries filled with students at all hours. Young humans were studying complex subjects in the middle of the night, their brains showing no significant decrease in cognitive function. "They have a practice called pulling an all-nighter," B-17 explained, her voice filled with disbelief. "They deliberately stay awake through the entire night cycle to complete tasks. Some even claim they work better at night." The transportation networks were equally shocking. Cargo ships, trains, and aircraft operated continuously. Maintenance crews worked through the darkest hours, keeping the global system running smoothly. "Their space programs are even more ambitious," Ax 23 noted. "They're designing habitats for other planets with artificial day-night cycles. They're not trying to eliminate darkness, they're planning to take it with them to the stars." The research team discovered human entertainment called movies and video games that often took place in darkness. Instead of showing fear, these stories often portrayed humans as masters of the night, moving through darkness with predatory grace. "Their young seem especially adapted," commented B-17, showing footage of human children having slumber parties where they stayed up late, telling stories in the dark. "They're training their offspring to be comfortable in darkness from an early age." A new alert caught their attention. In one city, humans were gathering for a night marathon, running long distances through darkened streets for recreation. "Their adaptability is remarkable," said one researcher. "They've turned what should be a vulnerability into a strength. Most species see night as a time to hide and rest. Humans see it as an opportunity for more activities. The team observed factories running night shifts, construction crews working under floodlights, and researchers conducting experiments at all hours. Humans had effectively doubled their civilization's productive hours by mastering the darkness. Most concerning, Acts 23 noted, is their casual attitude about it all. They don't seem to realize how extraordinary this is. They watched as office workers left late-night shifts, stopping for meals at 24-hour restaurants as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Security guards patrolled dark buildings, their eyes adapted to minimal light conditions. This isn't just adaptation, B-17 concluded. This is dominance. They've taken the most vulnerable time for most species and turned it into just another part of their day. As the Earth's night continued, the research team realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that hadn't just survived their world's dark cycle, but had embraced it so completely that darkness had become just another playground for their endless activities. The Council needs to understand. Acts 23 said grimly, "We're not just dealing with a Deathworld species. We're dealing with a species that has conquered one of the most fundamental barriers to life in the galaxy, the darkness itself." The Galactic Defense Council gathered in their secure chamber at 4 a.m. Earth time. The room was filled with the most experienced military commanders from across the galaxy. All of them looked troubled as they reviewed the latest reports about human capabilities. General K-92 stood at the center, his metallic scales reflecting the dim light. The human military abilities in darkness are beyond anything we've encountered. They don't just fight at night, they prefer it. The main screen showed footage of human special forces conducting night operations. Soldiers moved like shadows through complete darkness, their movements precise and deadly. They called these night ops, and they were a standard part of their training. "Their basic equipment is concerning enough," reported Colonel M15, displaying images of human night vision devices. "But it's their natural abilities that truly worry us. Even without technology, they can navigate in extremely low light conditions." The Council watched footage of human military exercises. Soldiers were running obstacle courses in darkness, climbing mountains at night, and conducting underwater operations in the blackest depths of their oceans. "Look at this," B-17 said, joining the military briefing. "They have entire military units specialized for night operations. They call them Night Stalkers. They're helicopter pilots who fly in complete darkness." The screen showed military helicopters navigating through mountain valleys on moonless nights, using advanced sensors that merely enhanced their natural capabilities. Submarines prowled the ocean depths, their crews functioning perfectly in perpetual darkness. Their naval capabilities are especially troubling. Admiral R7 noted, "Human submarines can stay underwater for months. The crews adapt to living without natural light, maintaining full combat effectiveness." More footage played. Human soldiers practicing urban combat in darkened buildings, special forces conducting stealth operations, and night patrol units moving silently through forests. Even their regular troops, General K-92 continued, show remarkable night fighting abilities. They've developed tactics that use darkness as a weapon. They don't fear night operations. They excel at them. A junior officer displayed data about human military response times. They maintain full combat readiness 24 hours a day. Their bases never sleep. They can launch major military operations at any time, day or night. The council members watched as human forces practiced rapid deployment drills at 3 a.m., moving with the same efficiency they showed during daylight. Emergency response teams stood ready around the clock, capable of global deployment regardless of local time. Their space warfare potential is even more concerning, Admiral R7 added. They're developing stealth technologies for space combat. They understand that space is mostly darkness, and they're perfectly comfortable with that. The screen showed classified footage of human space program training. Astronauts practicing repairs in darkened conditions, preparing for missions in the perpetual night of space. Their comfort in darkness would give them a significant advantage in space warfare. "We've detected something else," B-17 reported grimly. "They're developing new technologies to enhance their already formidable night capabilities. Advanced sensors, better stealth systems, more efficient night vision devices." The council chamber fell silent as they considered the implications. Most species in the galaxy used the night for rest or relied on technology to compensate for poor night vision. Humans had evolved as natural night predators and then enhanced those abilities with technology. Several aggressive species have requested immediate peace treaties with Earth, Colonel M15 noted. They've realized that humans could attack them during their sleep cycle, when they're most vulnerable. The footage shifted to human civilian emergency services, police, firefighters, medical teams, all operating at peak efficiency during the darkest hours. Even their civilian response units showed military-grade night capabilities. "We need to update our defense protocols," General K-92 declared. "Traditional tactics assume most species are vulnerable at night. Humans have no such weakness. They can fight at any time, in any light condition." As the briefing concluded, a final piece of footage played. A human night training exercise where soldiers moved through a pitch-black forest, their movements silent and predatory. Their eyes reflected what little light existed, like the apex predators they were. "One thing is clear," Admiral R7 concluded. "We must adjust our entire military strategy. We're not dealing with a normal species that needs light to fight. We're dealing with a species that has turned darkness itself into a weapon." As Earth's night cycle approached dawn, Tom Walker was called to an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council. The human diplomat walked calmly into the chamber, carrying a cup of coffee, a detail that made several alien representatives shudder, knowing it was a stimulant humans used to stay awake even longer. "Mr. Walker," High Counselor Ver 8 began, "we need to discuss Earth's classification status." Tom took a sip of his coffee, looking perfectly alert despite the early hour. "I assume you've completed your night observations." "How?" X-23 stepped forward, his membrane quivering with barely controlled emotion. "How did your species become so comfortable with darkness?" Tom smiled. "We had to. Early humans were weaker than most predators. We couldn't see as well as night hunters or run as fast as day hunters, so we learned to do both. We became adaptable." The chamber screens displayed a summary of the past night's observations. Humans working, playing, studying, and fighting in darkness. Each image made the alien representatives more nervous. "Your cities never sleep," B-17 noted. "Your people are active at all hours. You've turned your entire planet into a continuous civilization." "Efficiency," Tom shrugged. "Why waste half of each day? We learn to use every hour available to us." General K-92 stepped forward. "Your military capabilities in darkness are impressive. Most species would never consider conducting complex operations at night. Darkness is just another tool for us," Tom explained, his casual tone making it even more unsettling. "Sometimes it's an advantage. Sometimes it's just there, but it's never really been an obstacle." The council members looked at each other nervously. They had discovered many species over the centuries, but humans were different. They hadn't just survived their world's challenges, they had mastered them so completely that they no longer saw them as challenges. "We've made a decision," High Counselor Ver 8 announced. "Earth is being reclassified as a Class 12 Deathworld." "That's quite an upgrade from Class 3, Tom remarked, still seemingly unfazed. "Any world that produces a species capable of full functionality in both day and night cycles must be extraordinarily dangerous," X-23 explained. "Your adaptations, they're beyond anything we've seen before." Tom finished his coffee. "We just did what we needed to survive. Then we learned to thrive. Then we figured out how to enjoy it." The screen showed final clips from the night. Children playing in evening parks, students studying under stars, workers changing shifts at midnight, soldiers moving like shadows through darkness. Each image reinforced how completely humans had conquered the night. Several species have requested immediate alliance treaties. B-17 noted, "They find your capabilities concerning." "We're not looking for trouble," Tom assured them. "We just want to join the galactic community. Share knowledge. Trade. The usual things." "And your space exploration plans?" General K-92 asked. "Space is mostly darkness," Tom smiled. "We're quite comfortable with that. We're looking forward to exploring it fully. Day and night shifts, of course." The council chamber fell silent. They had expected to find a moderate world with an emerging civilization. Instead, they had found a species that had evolved to master both light and darkness, then built an entire culture around their capabilities. "Your classification papers," Ver-8 said, passing them to Tom. "Earth is now officially recognized as one of the most challenging worlds we've ever encountered." Tom accepted the papers with a polite nod. "Thank you. Though I should mention, you might want to update your classification system. You haven't seen our seasonal adaptations yet. Wait until you see how we handle extreme weather." The color drained from several council members' faces. As Tom walked out of the chamber, already checking his phone for early morning meetings, the aliens realized something profound. They hadn't just found another civilization to add to their community. They had discovered a species that had turned their world's greatest challenges into advantages, their harshest conditions into opportunities. And somewhere on Earth, as the sun began to rise, night shift workers headed home, while day shift workers headed out, the endless cycle of human activity continuing without pause, a testament to a species that had truly mastered their world, all 24 hours of it.